It all started with a gut feeling. It always does, doesn't it? That slight, almost imperceptible shift, like a change in the air. It happened when she'd say, "I'm going to lunch with a friend," and I'd hear a softness in her voice that didn't belong. A softness that stood out only because I had heard the sharper edges of it before, the kind you think you've smoothed over years of shared life. Laura and I had been married for 8 years. 8 years of mornings spent over coffee, whispered dreams, and the quiet understanding that grows from knowing someone so intimately. I thought we were solid. Sure, we had our disagreements, but who doesn't? I chalked it up to the natural wear and tear of life. That was before the late-night text. I saw it by accident, her phone resting on the couch next to me. Can't stop thinking about today. It came from a number I didn't recognize. When I asked her about it, she laughed nervously, brushing it off. "It's nothing. Just a group chat, you know how girls are." I nodded, but something shifted. I didn't press it, but the unease lingered. Weeks passed. Her lunch dates grew more frequent, the excuses more vague. That's when I decided to act. I'm not proud of it, but when she left her phone unattended one afternoon, I went through it. The messages weren't subtle, they were explicit. Her lunch dates were never just lunch. Her friend, Eric, who turned out to be more than just a friend, had an intimacy with her that I could never have imagined. The kind of emotional connection that mirrored what we used to have. It stung like 100 small cuts, each one deeper than the last. For a week, I carried that knowledge in silence, trying to decide what to do. Confront her? Pack my bags? Beg for an explanation? In the end, I did none of those things. Instead, I did something I never thought I would. I planned. Meticulously. Carefully. I began digging. Social media led me to Eric. A colleague of hers, a sales rep. I tracked down his wife, Christine. A petite brunette with kind eyes and 2 young kids. I felt a pang of sympathy for her, but it didn't stop me. The plan was already set in motion. I hired a private investigator, a bulldog of a man named Frank with a no-nonsense attitude. The photos he sent me were indisputable. Eric and Laura, leaving a hotel together. Laughing. Even kissing. It was all there, in living color. I wasn't looking for closure, I was looking for proof. Then, I reached out to Christine. A simple message: "Hi Christine, this is going to be hard to hear, but I believe your husband Eric is having an affair with my wife Laura. I've attached photos. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this." Her response came in an hour: "Thank you for telling me." That was it. The ball was rolling, and I wasn't in control anymore. But I had one more move left. I needed Laura to feel the weight of her actions, to understand the depth of what she had done. So I set up a lunch date. I invited her, forcing a smile, telling her, "Let's have a date, just the 2 of us. We haven't done that in a while." She seemed relieved, almost eager, probably thinking my sudden attention meant I suspected nothing. But it was the calm before the storm. When the day came, I set the table. Crisp white cloth. Silverware polished to a shine. 2 glasses of wine. It looked like an attempt at romance, but the centerpiece wasn't flowers, it was a manila envelope, stuffed with irrefutable proof. When Laura walked in, she stopped cold. Her eyes flitted from the table to the envelope. "What's this?" she asked, voice trembling. I didn't answer. I just gestured for her to sit. Reluctantly, she did. Her smile was gone, replaced by tension. I slid the envelope toward her. "Open it." She hesitated but complied, flipping through the photos and the text message printouts. Her voice cracked. "I can explain." "Explain?" I cut her off, calm but sharp. "Explain what? That you've been lying to me for months? That you've been sneaking around with a married man? That you've treated our marriage like it's disposable?" Tears welled up in her eyes. She whispered, "It's not like that." "Then what is it like, Laura?" I asked, my voice rising. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been having your cake and eating it too." She broke down, sobbing, mumbling apologies that meant nothing. I let her cry, let her feel the weight of what she had done. When she finally looked up, face streaked with tears, I dropped the bombshell: "I've spoken to Christine." Her eyes widened in horror. "You? What?" "She knows everything. Just like I do," I said. "You've destroyed not 1, but 2 families. Congratulations." Then, there was a knock at the door. Laura froze, fear washing over her face. I stood and opened it. Christine stepped inside, calm but with fire in her eyes. Behind her was Eric. Laura's face went pale. "What is this?" she whispered. "This," I said, "is closure." The confrontation that followed was ugly. Christine unleashed years of frustration on Eric, who stammered like a fool. Laura tried to intervene, but Christine turned on her with the kind of ferocity I'd never seen. "Don't you dare justify this," she screamed. "You're selfish. You're deceitful." Eric tried to defend himself, spewing nonsense about feeling unappreciated at home. I cut him off. "Unappreciated? You've got 2 beautiful kids and a wife who would move heaven and earth for you. And this is how you repay her?" By the end, we were all broken. Laura and Eric looked like shells of themselves, while Christine and I exchanged a silent look of shared understanding. The fallout was swift. Laura packed her things and left that night. The next day, I filed for divorce. Christine did the same. Eric lost his job when Christine sent the evidence to his employer. And Laura's reputation, well, it plummeted when the affair became common knowledge. As for me, it wasn't easy. There were nights I cried myself to sleep, mornings I struggled to get out of bed. But over time, the anger faded. What replaced it was a quiet determination to rebuild my life. I started therapy, took up running, reconnected with old friends. A year later, I'm the happiest I've been in years. I've learned to value myself, to demand honesty and respect from the people in my life. As for Laura and Eric, the last I heard, they couldn't make it work. Guilt was their downfall. Revenge might not be the healthiest motivation, but sometimes, it's the spark we need to take back our power. And that's exactly what I did.